Hey, welcome to the channel. This week we're going to be going through our April O'Neil collection. I've generally found it tougher to pick up April O'Neil figures. Bear in mind they've got thinner arms, legs, etc. Whether more of them got broken during play, etc. I'm not too sure, but although it's taken me slightly longer to put together this collection versus some of my other favourite characters, I am now almost at the point where I've got each version of April O'Neil. At the end, I'll talk through the sort of ones that I'd like to still pick up and add into the collection, but I think we've got a fairly good representation to kick this off. As you can see, I've got quite a few April O'Neil figures on display loose. Working from left to right, if we start with this sort of old school April figure, I believe this is actually the second or third version of April from those original Playmates toys. You'll see at the back in a second over here the earlier version, and I think there's one other very rare one which didn't have the stripes down the arms, but this is the earliest figure that I've got loose on display. Picked this up in a bundle a little while back. Not too bad a likeness in terms of the sort of cartoon, not spot on obviously, but yeah, not too bad. So the hair on the figure is brown rather than red, but otherwise the outfit is pretty close to what I remember from the cartoon. It does come with a few accessories, a sort of briefcase and this camera with a gun hidden inside it. I'm not quite sure what that has to do with anything, but cool feature from a toy point of view. Not particularly great articulation on this one. You've got the legs move, the arms, and obviously the waist sort of twists, and obviously of course the head moves, but otherwise pretty basic. But for the time, a really iconic figure. I do prefer this one actually to the earlier one. I think this is slightly closer to how I remember April. So that's April number 1. The back here, we've got this slightly earlier April O'Neil. If you look closer, you can see the face is slightly different, as is the hair, and the outfit has not got the orange trim that the other one's got on it. This is just yellow and blue. Now this isn't the original one, this is actually from the 25th anniversary release, but obviously a really nice reissue. Does show you all the accessories that it came with. So again, we've got the gun and the camera combo, we've got the briefcase, and on top of that you also get one ninja star, and you get this little torch as well. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, April very much part of the original lineup of figures. Now Super 7 did do a larger version of that figure. Obviously comes with a little bit more articulation. You've got the wrists, the elbows, etc., and the knees. I think this is very faithful to the Playmates figure in terms of a larger version of that. Comes from excellent accessories, the Channel 6 lanyard and ID, the microphone, and a few other bits and pieces in the box as well, but not particularly close to the actual cartoon character of April from those original 87 TV shows. I do like this one though. I think it's nice to have a larger version of the original figure. And in terms of that original cartoon, I think the closest version of that is NECA's April O'Neil. And here we have her. This, to me, this is the second April they produced. The first one had a weird head, if I remember rightly, whereas this one does come with a much more in proportion sort of head. Yeah, really lovely figure, this one. Easily the closest I've seen to that original 80s cartoon in terms of the detail on her sort of jumpsuit, the detail on her face. Comes with all manner of accessories and things. We'll get her out in a minute and have a proper look. And of course, sticking with the NECA theme, we can't forget Judith Hoag's original April O'Neil from that 1990 movie. I didn't mind the second actress that took over from there, but I do still think that the first film was the best. Yeah, this NECA figure is pretty close to her likeness, I would say. The outfit's spot on. She's got her bag. It does come with one of Raf's size, which you can put in there if you want. She's got a Channel 6 microphone. Yeah, really cool figure this. Very good likeness. So if we move forward in time a little bit and we go on to the 2003 iteration of the Turtles, we had a slightly different April O'Neil in that series. I think it's fair to say that sort of from this point onwards, April was portrayed as a much stronger character. I think that goes for all the Aprils from 2002-3 onwards, really. This is probably the April that I have the least nostalgia for because, as I may have said before in videos like this, I didn't really watch the 2003 Turtles series at the time. I've watched it since, but yeah, it wasn't. It's also something I sort of skipped over, really. I was in my early 20s at that point and interested in other things. So yeah, I don't dislike this April character. I just don't have the sort of connection to it as I do with some of the older ones and indeed some of the newer ones. So, but yeah, nice figure. And again, very limited articulation by Playmates, but nice interpretation. Still got the iconic red hair, but definitely geared up for more action than the previous versions. Now, I don't have the 2007 movie April, the TMNT CGI film version. That is one that I would like to get into the collection. And it's actually one, when I did the Shredder collection video a couple of months ago, a lot of the comments on that were letting me know that I hadn't got that CGI Shredder in the set. Trust me, I do want these figures. It's just that some lines clearly didn't sell in as big a numbers as others, and I think between the sort of Next Mutation and the 2007 CGI movie, some of those do seem to be trickier to find. Having said that, yeah, I'm intending on getting that 2007 version of April. I'd like to get her into the mix. So then we're moving on to the 2012 April O'Neil, and we've got a little loose figure of her here. Unfortunately, my one's got a glued arm on this side because, again, it came in a bundle. And these arms are so thin, they're obviously prone to getting broken or being played with. But pretty good likeness though, it does look like April as I remember her. And in this instance I do have the figure carded as well. So we can see that she comes with a bow staff and some ninja throwing stars and some swords or training swords, etc. Yeah, nice figure, this one. Again, a very different interpretation of April. Possibly the youngest April we've had up to this point. As time's gone on with the Ninja Turtles, that teenage portion of the title certainly seems to be more true. And yeah, definitely in this instance, April was very much a younger interpretation. Very cool though, and again, part of the original run. In 2012, we also had the Dimension X April O'Neil Space Comrade. So you can see she's got her space outfit here. I like the fact they've gone back to a sort of yellow jumpsuit for a space outfit. A little bit of an homage to those earlier figures. Does come with a little space gun and a helmet. Not sure about the face sculpt on this one though. She looks like she's been sort of blown up in some way. But nice to have a variant anyway. And I suppose moving on from the 2012 series, we then had Megan Fox's version of April O'Neil. We've got two of these. I'll go through them both at the same time because, I mean, the head sculpts are pretty much identical. This is from the 2014 Michael Bay film, the first one. And this is from Out of the Shadows, the second one with Bebop and Rocksteady included. Yeah, not bad. I mean, these are fine. They do sort of show the character reasonably well. Again, very limited articulation. Looks a little bit like Megan Fox. These are both a pain to stand because the legs are so sort of thin. But nice to have a slightly different version of April, I suppose. Again, we've gone back to the brown hair instead of red. I was never quite sure about Megan Fox's portrayal of April O'Neil. I do like Megan Fox, but I just thought, it didn't quite fit with the character for me. I did like the fact that they took her back to her original roots, being sort of a lab assistant, because that's something that seems to have got lost in interpretation through all the previous iterations of April. I do have the first movie version on card, so you can get an idea of the sort of accessories that this came with. 2 size, and a sort of camera and a bag. Okay, so if we then jump past those Michael Bay films, we've then got a completely different version of April in the Rise of the TMNT April. Very much leaning into the sort of the teen side of the Turtles. I do quite like this interpretation, I have to say. I don't like it as much as the next one I'm going to show you. The figure, however, is terrible. Again, really spindly. Much more articulation than the older versions, but tiny little figure, and again far better shown on the card. I do also have this little stamper version, which just came in a random bundle of turtle stuff, so you can get a little more of an idea as to how this April looks. So the most recent version of April O'Neil is this one from the Mutant Mayhem, and I have to say I absolutely love this April. I just think they got everything spot on with this version of April. It is definitely one of my top 3 versions of this character. I love the wit and the humour. I love the design, and the figure is really, really cool. Again, as you can see, you've got the laptop, you've got the camera, similar sort of accessories that April's always come with. But this is so close to that movie. Really does look spot on. From the sort of Converse sort of pumps to her in her bag and her jacket. Really, really cool. You can also get a scooter set with Raphael, which looks pretty much like her scooter in the film. So you could actually put her together with that if you wanted to. Yeah, really great figure this. Really great interpretation of April. And finally for today, we're going a little bit left field. And this is April O'Neil from the Turtles of Grayskull series. I picked this up because it was pretty cheap, but actually I do really like this character. It gives me a lot of hope for Mattel as they move forward with the TMNT stuff. I think the size, the scale is good, the articulation and some of the detail is really, really excellent. I have to admit I haven't read the comics yet. It is something I would like to do, but I just haven't got around to it. So I'm not quite sure how April sort of fits into this universe. But certainly just from the point of view of the look of the figure and the character, very, very cool. I mean, you see her on the back here. It's a completely different interpretation of April as we know her. So yeah, very, very cool. Okay, so that's 13 different April O'Neils we have in the collection so far. I promised I'd open up the NECA Cartoon April figures. We'll quickly do that now. And here she is. For me, the most iconic of all the April O'Neils. Of course, I'm massively biased because this is the era that I grew up in and the version that I remember most fondly. If I had to pick my favourite figures here, I'm pretty sure this would be number 1. I'm not talking about articulation or how the figures themselves sort of stack up. I just mean in terms of the version of April. This one for me, yeah, would be my favourite. With the 1990s movie version in second, and probably the Mutant Mayhem April in third place. I'd say those 3 are probably my favourite April O'Neils so far. Let's have a closer look, shall we? And here she is, complete out of the packaging. I've managed to get her to hold the camera and the Channel 6 microphone. And yeah, this does not disappoint, this figure. Really cool. Loving the detail on this. Some excellent articulation. Well pleased to have this one in the collection. Right, cool. So I mentioned earlier on the video there are a few figures I still need to add into this collection. I haven't yet managed to pick up the CGI 2007 O'Neil figure, so I need to pick that one up at some point. I'd also quite like the Mirage Comics NECA April O'Neil. I think it'd be quite cool to have the very, very first ever iteration of the character in the collection. Another little subset of figures I've started collecting is the crossover Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers sort of Lightning figures, and I believe there's an April O'Neil set within that as well. So that's another one that's sort of on my radar. I'll probably put together an updated video at some point in the future when I do pick up those last few figures. But for now, I'm really pleased with the way this part of the collection's come together. We've got some nice carded figures. We've got some really great ones on display as well. And round off today with this awesome Toon April from NECA, which again is one that I've really been looking to add to the collection for a while. So yeah, very cool. Thanks a lot for watching the video. If you like these figure collections, I've got quite a few up on the channel now. I've got all 4 turtles and also the Shredder. You'll find them in a specific playlist. If you're a fan of toy collecting, specifically sort of TMNT and crossover stuff, then do consider subscribing to the channel. We also have a little bit of video game and retro stuff on there as well. I very much welcome you to leave a comment down below if there's anything you want to sort of ask me about this collection or anything else. I always reply to all my comments. I hope to see you back on the channel for our next update in a week or so's time. Until then, have a great week and take it easy. Hair slightly browner. Her outfit's pretty close, and she comes with... Right, come on then.